Hello, so nice to meet you at this daily motivational meeting, reading quotes from world scriptures to empower with positive vibe for the day. We're reading world scriptures from the beginning. Please find on our channel Message to Billions all the chapters till now. Now we are reading about the big mistake, what could damage your life. So the next chapter is Cain and Abel. The first murder in human history followed close on the heels of the human fall. Indeed, the tension between the brothers can be attributed to situation they inherited from their parents. The story of Cain and Abel raised the inescapable human problem of inequality. It asks how should people cope with differences in wealth, talent, love, fortune, and in this case, blessing. The Bible regards Abel as one of the righteous. The Quran portrays him as a man of peace who refuses to take up a weapon to fight his brother Cain. Hence comes the tradition that there are two kinds of people. Abel type people are good and faithful, while Cain type people are evil, atheistic, and violent. Father's Moon teaching, however, Cain and Abel are most essential brothers. Moreover, both had their flaws. Abel's arrogance over being the favorite one contributed to Cain's hatred, and Cain hatred has a history too. Father Moon teaches that God's purpose in accepting only Abel's offering was not to express his disdain for Cain, but rather to promote a process of restoration. By Cain yielding to Abel, Cain and Abel were to reverse the mistake of their parents when Adam was wrongly dominated by archangels. Had his restoration been successful, there would be no murder. Instead, even Cain offering would have been accepted by God. Inequality is inevitable. How we deal with it is where choices come into play. Cain has a choice to react with violence or to humbly seek his brother's help. Abel also had a choice to glory in his favorite status or to have compassion on his less favorite brother, comfort him and raise him up. The choices we make in this kind of situation can make the differences between peace and war. Now Abel was of keeper of sheep, and Cain a tiller of the ground. In the course of time, Cain brought to the Lord an offering of the fruit of the ground, and Abel brought of the firstlings of the flocks of their fat portions. And the Lord has regard for Abel and his offering, but for Cain and his offering he has not regard. So Cain was very angry, and his countenance fell. The Lord said to Cain, "Why are you angry, and why has your countenance fallen? If you do well, will you not be accepted? And if you do not do well, sin is crouching at the door. Its desire is for you, but you must master it." Cain Abel, his brother, let us go out into the field. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Then the Lord said to Cain, "Where is Abel, your brother?" He replied, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" And the Lord said, "What have you done? The voices of your brother's blood is crying crying to me from the ground. And now you are cursed from the ground, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield to you in straits. You should be a fugitive and wandered on the earth. Cain said to the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, you have driven me this day away from the ground, and from your face I shall be hidden, and I shall be fugitive and wandered on the earth. And whoever finds me will slay me. Then the Lord said to him, not so. If any one slay Cain, vengeance shall be taken on his sevenfold. And the Lord put a mark on Cain, lest any who came upon him should kill him. Then Cain went away from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of the north east of Eden. And next quote, and recite for them the story of the two sons of Adam truthfully when they offered a sacrifice, and it was accepted on one of them and not accepted of the other. I will surely slay you, said one. God accepts only of the God's fearing, said the other. Yet if you stretch out your hand against me to slay me, I will not stretch you my hand against you to slay you. I fear God, the Lord of all blessed beings. I desire that you should be laden with my sin and you sin, and so become an inhabitant of the fire. That is the recompense of the evildoers. Then his soul prompted him to slay his brother, and he slew him and became one of the losers. And then God sent forth a raven, scratching into the earth to show him how he might conceal the vile body of his brother. He said, woe is me, am I unable to be as this raven, and so conceal my brother's vile body? And he became one of the remorseful. By faith, Abel offering to God a more acceptable sacrifice than Cain, through which he received approval as righteous. God bearing witness by accepting his gifts, he died, but through his faith, he is still speaking. When Adam and Eve begot children, the firstborn was the son of the serpent's line, for two beings had intercourse with Eve, and she conceived from both and bore two children. Each followed one of the male parents, and, their spirit parted one to this slide and one to the other. And similarly, their characters. On the side of Cain are all the hounds of the evil species, from which came evil spirits and demons and necromancers. From the side of Abel came a more merciful class, yet not wholly beneficial, good wine mixed with bad. The right kind was not produced until Seth came, who is the first ancestor of all the generation of the righteous. Cain rose up against Abel and killed him because he inherited his nature from the side of the Samuel, who brought death into the world. He was jealous of Abel and account of his female, as indicated by the words, and it came to pass when they were in the field. The word field signifying woman. According to the text, Cain was angry because his offering was not accepted, but this is a further reason. Now let's go further with quotes from Second Cain Messiah, Reverend Samuel Moon. The biblical account of Cain and Abel reveals the beginning of human conflict right in Adam's family. It provides the archetype for humankind unending history of struggle, war, and conflict. We are conflicted on many levels, beginning with the war between the body and mind within each individual and extending to the wars between nations and even to the global conflict between materialism and theism. Original God alone was to govern human beings. God was to be our only Lord. Nevertheless, Satan became our Lord through his immoral relationship with the first ancestors. The principle teach that love carries government sovereign power. That is why Satan has a right to claim ownership over human beings, over though his love is immoral. However, God is the original owner of the principle of creation. Thus, God and Satan could both claim ownership over human beings. Yet it is physically impossible to divide Adam into two, one piece for God and the other for Satan. Therefore, God has to set up a certain rule to divine human beings. God set up the rule for separation in terms of the polarities of internal, external, and subject and object, with God in the position of the internal being and the creation of the external being. By this principle, God divided fallen Adam and Eve into two through their two children. Cain represented Satan and Abel represented sinless Adam. Hence, God placed Abel, the second son, in the internal position, Abel representing the second love between Adam and Eve, which contained fewer evil elements, while Cain was the fruit of the first love. God took Abel because Adam and Eve relationship was more principled than the first relationship between Eve and Archangel. The original order of love was to from flow from God to Adam and then to Archangel. Hence, the position in restoration must also be ordered. First, God did Abel, last Cain. By restoring these positions, relationship to the original order, God intends to restore the lost principle. God led the providence to restore the birthright of the elder son through these two brothers. Cain must go down to Abel's position, and Abel must go up to Cain's position. In the first son's position, however, Cain killed Abel. His action was a repetition of Adam and Eve's fall. It repeated the condition by which Satan came to control Adam. It was the opposite of restoration. The Bible attests to the discrimination between first and second born son. For example, it is written that God loved the second son Jacob and hated the first son Esau, when even while they were still inside their mother's womb. They were placed in the position of Cain and Abel based on further upon the distinction of who was the firstborn son. When Jacob was blessed his two grandchildren, Ephraim and Manasseh, he crossed his hand and laid his right hand on the head of the Ephraim, the second son, in the position of Abel, to give him the first and greatest blessing. According to this principle, God placed Cain Abel in a position where each could deal with only one master and had them offered sacrifice. When Cain and Abel offered the sacrifices, the Lord had regard for Abel in his offering, but for Cain and his offering he had no regard. Why did God accept Abel's offering but reject Cain? God received Abel's sacrifice because he stood in a proper relationship with God. Also, he made the offering in an acceptable manner through faith and in line with God's will. In this way, Abel successfully laid the foundation of faith in Adam's family. He serves as an example that any fallen person can make an offering acceptable to God, provided he sacrifices the necessary condition. God did not reject Cain's sacrifice because he hated him, rather because Cain stood in a position to relate with Satan, which gave Satan's right over the sacrifice. God could not accept Cain's sacrifice unless he first made some condition justifying its acceptance. When Cain found out that God accepted only Abel's offering, he struck and killed Abel out of hatred. You have to understand, however, that already while they were preparing their offering, Cain nurtured feelings of resentment against Abel. Cain did not strike Abel in a sudden flash or anger over God accepting only Abel's offering. Rather, even before that incident, Cain hated Abel and wanted to kill him. It seems that God was discriminating between Cain and Abel, but that was not the case. If Cain had even the slightest desire to go through Abel, who represents heaven's position, then God would have accepted Cain's offering, although his acceptance would have come later. God desired to relate to them in fairness. You must not repeat the mistake of Abel, who prolonged the providence of God by not being able to cope with mission heaven gave him. Cain should have appeared to Abel, asking him to show him the way to approach God that his offering might be also accepted. He should have kept a mind of absolute faith, absolute love, and absolute obedience to God. When then he would have totally united with his brother. Only then he could then could he have entered the realm of God. God placed Abel in the position to save Cain. God expected that Abel would love Cain and share with him all the love that he received from God as well as his own love. When God accepted only Abel's offering, Abel became arrogant. Through that condition, Satan could make accusation against him. Satan influenced Cain to lose his temper and his reason, driving him to kill his own brother. All the conflict and wars that the world was witnessing since the beginning of the history have been, in essence, battle between the Cain side, while is relatively evil, and the Abel side, what is more on the side of goodness. Yet Cain and Abel must never be divided. They are like the right hand and the left hand. Everyone should live with the attitude, my God is also your God. The God who loves me also loves you. Think about the moment when Cain killed Abel. The pain of it seared God's heart, and his tears continue to this day. God intended that the elder son loved his younger brother, but instead he murdered him. That one murder broke God's heart. Yet look at the world today. Every day, tens of thousands of people are being killed or dying of starvation. Do you think God's heart is at peace? Yeah, so powerful quotes for today. Mm, to avoid these mistakes, sometimes we feel as we are Abel, receive God's blessing. Sometimes we feel as we are Cain, as we don't feel good. So please feel good today. Have a great, blessed day. Contact me anytime for consultation or cooperation. Um, Share this video with all your friends as we end this billion happy life subscribers marathon. See you tomorrow, same time, same place, reading further quotes. Interesting to empower positive life. All the best. Bye bye.